Hello everybody, and welcome to the LJL Officially Unofficial. I am your host, Alex, otherwise known as Lexi. I go by Master on the internet. I am, of course, joined by my color commentator and play-by-play caster, Initialize and Nymera. As always, please introduce yourselves.
Go for it.
Sure. Well, yeah, so we're starting off with the last 4 games of what we didn't finish last time. And we're really looking forward to some of these, I think. You know, we get to see some of the big names come out, DFM, CGA, you know. So there's a lot of stuff for us to get hyped out on a kind of a meta level about the LJL, and I'm really excited to bring it to you guys.
Now, I'm going to have to echo that. There's a lot of fantastic stuff coming up today. I'm pretty excited to see the CGA DFM matchup finally. That one particularly, I think, is going to be a barnstormer. I'm hoping DFM get a bit of a challenge. They've been getting it, well, running over the last few games. It'd be good to see some people stepping up to the Kings and giving them a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I couldn't echo that more. Would be nice to maybe see DFM actually on a back foot for once, but first the team does have to rise up to that level to be able to do that. Our first matchup of the week is going to be Burning Core versus Crest Gaming Act. The second game is going to be that elusive Crest Gaming Act versus Detonation Focus Me. Third game of the day is going to be Detonation Focus Me versus Rascal Jester, which is a repeat match. And our fourth and final game for week 4 of the LJL is going to be Rascal Jesters versus Burning Core. There's a lot of narrative coming into this as this is the officially our second halfway point. Once all these games have been finished, we're past the halfway. All the teams have fought at least once. Some of them have fought now twice. Obviously, there are some narratives going on here because of those previous games. Our first matchup of Burning Core versus Crest Gaming Act. We saw Crest Gaming kind of decisively win against Burning Core, but Burning Core last week did go 2-0. What are your thoughts regarding this matchup?
Yeah, so last time we saw Ray Farkey on Burning Core bring out his Darius against CGA for I think it was the second time that game, might have been the first time, but yeah, it might have been the first time, that one. But okay, whatever.
I remember.
But effectively, that game just went straight into the pocket of Arya and Gango, who carried that game so very well on very good skirmishing picks of LeBlanc and Draven, and they just kind of ran away with the game. So I think Burning Core will be smarting a bit from that, because they did just, and now coming off of a 2-0 week, they have a lot to prove and they want to pick up this win.
Yeah, and for me as well, it's going to be particularly people like Once on Burning Core who are going to feel a little bit hard done by from that last matchup. Once had drafted the Xin Sao the last time around, went into Yoshi's jungle and made his Lee Sin look a little bit silly. Got first blood, got double kills. He was like 5-1 at one point. It was looking like it was a Burning Core surefire thing. And then Arya and Gango decided to put on the carry pants and turned that game around fairly swiftly. But I think there is a lot for Burning Core to be excited about, and I think they're going to want to change their fortunes and use what they happened in the last early game and make it come through to a win this time round.
I wonder, are Burning Core going to ban the Draven this time? Are you going to ban Gango's Draven because they went 11-2-9, or is it just redundant at that point because he was so thick?
You really want to ban out his late game carries, because eventually CGA find their way to a point where Arya and Gango can carry a late game fight. The one time we didn't see that was versus V3, right? When they had the Callista. And that really didn't scale well into the Xayah, which they played against. So they got outscaled in the AD carry, and then Archer carried it against them. So I think if you can maybe try and trick CGA into putting their main carries onto stuff which doesn't do so well in the late game, that'd be the way to win. Question is, how do you do that from the side of Burning Core?
Yeah. So might add a little bit of context on that one in terms of I totally agree. I think it'd be nice though that doesn't necessarily have to mean not lane dominant. I think Gango does want to have something that can add pressure in lane, so even if it is going to scale well, especially as well because his lane partner Grendel does like to be on the front foot, positions very aggressively in a way that's got him caught out a lot. So as long as his AD carry can kind of back him up in that, then I think that'd be a better look for Crest Gaming Act.
And remember, these are definitely two teams that do have some reliance on their top laners. That being Ray Farkey for Burning Core and Nap for Crest Gaming Act. I am very excited to see what's going to happen. Are we going to see Nap pull out the Cho'Gath again? I mean,
I
this
think
is
like,
this is against
if-
Rayfaki, so anything could happen here.
Yeah, if Ray Farkey picks up the GP, which he has been going back to a lot, I think we'll see another Cho'Gath. Nap's been really happy in that matchup, so it'd be fun to see that. I'd like that.
I mean, the real question is whether Ray Farkey feels it's time to bring out the Darius again.
No.
Please no,
No. Like, the man
no.
knows how to play that champion. I'm just not sure compositionally they found a way to make that
It,
champion
it
work.
sucks
True.
in so many
It
team
does.
comps.
It totally does. Stopwatch is the bane of all things Darius. But,
And stopwatch is definitely an item that we're seeing a lot of supports just
Yes.
and mid laners just go, well, I can have it for free, so why not? And that's a good way to counter a Darius. But with that all in mind and this hypothesizing, let's just get on to the pick and ban phase and really see how we get on. Now, as always, over in the LJL, I will counter Sin as we are doing a slight blast from the past, as always. I know you roll your eyes every time, but you love it. You love it.
I love it
we
so
just
much.
love you, buddy, and we'll put up with it. It's
Oh,
fine.
I mean, either or, you still love it. So in 3, 2, 1, good luck to both these teams.
All right, thank you so much, Mash Swan. It is a pleasure to be here on Week 4, Part 2, Game 1 of the LJL. This will be Burning Core versus CGA. So over on the blue side, it is Burning Core, and in the top lane, it's Ray Farkey, the man, the myth, the Darius main. It's Once in the jungle, it's Rocky in the mid lane, and Yuhi and Proud taking up the mantle of bot lane.
And on the other side of the rift, over on the red team, it's Crest Gaming Act. In the top lane, Nap. In the jungle, Yoshi. Mid lane, Arya. Bot lane, Gango. And support, Grundle.
And while we've been running through those teams, the bans have been coming through thick and fast. It is an Ornn and Zoe for Burning Core, and a Syndra and Rumble taken off the table for CJ, and I believe a LeBlanc just taken off as well, as I was speaking.
So Arya's gone back to these two picks quite a lot in the Zoe and the LeBlanc. They are pretty good blind picks in the mid lane, and also the Rumble being a pretty good blind pick as well into that lane. So we'll see what Crest want to pick up in that mid lane. See if there is any actual blind pick they want to have for the mid lane now.
Yumi.
Yeah. Instead, Burning Core goes straight towards the Yuumi. This could signal something like a Yuumi Ezreal lane alongside an Olaf as well. All of these picks doing pretty well with the cat book right now.
Well, we see the Pantheon immediately locked in over here alongside a Talia. Is that going to be that infamous bot lane duo, do you think?
I think this is more likely to be mid jungle.
I can see that too. Definitely a flexible pair,
However, but you know what's actually going to be the weird flex is that which one's going to be mid lane?
though. Yeah, indeed,
'Cause
that's
we
a
do
very
see,
good question.
You know, Talia can definitely go into jungle, but Pantheon can too. So Set normally is actually a first pick. Very good first pick, but has fallen through to the second round of the draft for Burning Core and is locked in for what we assume to be Ray Farkey in the top lane. And has had one killer game on that champion
Indeed.
so far.
And as far as I know, specifically in the matchup with the Pantheon, Set tends to come out on top of that as far as I'm aware. So could be a bit risky. We see Yuhi will be piloting the Misfortune. I do
Okay.
want to point out that CJ did ban away the Aphelios, and of course, Yuhi's best performances have been on that champion, and otherwise he's sometimes been a little quiet. So we'll have to see how he pulls out this Misfortune and how he performs on it. Arya, though, has locked in Aatrox for the side of CGA here at the end.
Yeah, so that will be going towards the top lane. Aatrox, a very good nullifying lane pick. Does pretty well into all comers. So, yeah, that will probably be Aatrox versus Set in the top lane. We do have another ban coming in, though, in the Elise, fallen through to the second round of bans. Not so long ago, was first pick worthy in the LJL, slowly falling off in priority.
Echo, though, is an interesting ban, though. Wasn't expecting that. I'm assuming that's aimed towards Arya, but of course we have seen Boogie pull out of the jungle, so maybe Yoshi's got something up his sleeve that we don't know about.
Well, that would be strange. At that, unless this is the Pantheon Talia top lane, like you're saying, but with the Aatrox locked in, I think we already see... or rather it is the Pantheon Talia bot lane.
And we will see the abomination stopped in its tracks. Olaf, Yuumi will not be happening this time, and thank goodness for that. Sejuani, however, is taken off the board. Potentially Yoshi's jungle pool being hit a little bit here, but of course that Talia still possibly in that jungle role.
Yep, so CGA just hanging on for their fourth pick right now, counting down the timer, seeing what's available to them. They'll probably have to lock in a... Okay,
that is a Kindred jungle. As far as I know, Yoshi is in fact a Kindred main from solo queue.
Yep.
So that is looking more and more likely like it is going to be a Pantheon Talia bot lane, and their AD carry is actually going to be coming out of the jungle.
Okay, so Yoshi played, I think, only one game last year. That game was on Kindred. It did pretty well. If we talked, we talked a little bit on our podcast as well about Yoshi and how he's been struggling with some of the meta junglers, and we thought actually CGA's lanes tend to win regardless of what they're playing and what matchups they're in. So Yoshi could just play a scaling pick. Kindred is one of those somewhat scaling picks. This is going to be a very interesting game for the narrative of Crest.
Well, once throws down the gauntlet and picks up the Lee Sin, of course, a lot of early pressure. And if you want to get on top of a Kindred and invade her early, then Lee Sin is certainly able to do that. And Rocky will be picking up a Victor, which I believe he's already had a pretty good game on as well. So I'm pretty happy to see Burning Core returning to that pick.
Yeah, and this is a very well scaling side from Burning Core already, but CGA hovering over their last pick.
No, he's done it!
They've gone for the Yasuo. This is going to be such a weird composition. This is completely off.
I love it.
This is completely off color from CGA. We normally see, Nap on something which, something really big and beefy in the top lane. We see Grendel on Nautilus, and then we see Yoshi on all of these early pressure junglers, and then Adia and Gango going on to the scaling picks. Now we see just a whole mishmash of everything coming out from Crest.
Right, so you're going to have to run me through how you're expecting these different team comps to work. So Burning Core's relatively standard within the meta. Of course, the pickup of Yuumi a little bit more recently is perhaps a touch newer. But for the side of CJ, this is completely off-the-wall stuff.
How about I talk about Burning Core while I actually piece together what CGA can do as a composition?
Do you want me to run through Burning Core and how I think it's going to work? What you think about it? Or are you going to just do this because you need this comfort?
I'm gonna go through both teams, I think. So we definitely have the more conventional team on the side of Burning Core. Over on the blue side, the only thing which is a little bit odd is pairing up the Yuumi with the Misfortune. Not the best lane partner, but when you have the Zoomies and the Misfortune does reach some very high move speeds, which allows you to run down the likes of someone like a Yasuo, especially if he doesn't have a minion wave, but might fall prey to something like an Aatrox, turning it back around on them. This is a very good scaling teamfight disruption, front-to-back teamfighting comp, with the healing and peeling of Yuumi alongside it. Whereas Crest Gaming does have a lot of wombo, does have several knockups for the Yasuo. The Pantheon Talia does have a knockup in there as well with the
Seismic shove,
the Seismic Shove, and also the Darkin Blade from Aatrox setting up Yasuo quite nicely. They have the ability to reset fights pretty well with the likes of Pantheon's Aegis, his E, and then also the Lamb's Respite from the Kindred as well. So a lot of different ways that CGA can look to play, can look for picks, can look for team fights a little bit into the mid game as well once they get their first items online.
All right, a little bit of madness out of CGA. It's what we like to see. This is the team that loves to draft things like Draven. And this time around, it'll be Arya piloting the likes of Yasuo. We really rate this guy mechanically, so I'm very excited to see what he can do on the champion. And I'm kind of expecting he'll be kind of roaming between the top and bot lanes, looking to find those places for knockups to come in and ult from the river, pretty much.
I can't wait for him to go 0 and 10.
Neither can I. Well, he's either going to go 0 and 10 or 10 and 0. It's the only way this player knows how to go anyway. Yasuo is going to make that worse.
And this split, Aria has been so good.
He has.
Very, very
so
good.
Very
We've been
good.
very impressed by that player in the mid lane of CGA, as we see Ray Farkey spamming the sit-ups.
That's it. I'm such a fan of how they've done that tech, in that the fact the faster you spam it, the faster he does the sit-ups. It doesn't jank the animation. Nope. Just speeds up. That's some quality stuff.
As opposed to Pantheon.
Yeah, that's the jank we're talking about.
There we go. Well, Set has the technology, Pantheon does not.
Yeah, we're looking at red buff starts for both junglers and no invades, but Pantheon and Talia are waiting around the corner in that bot. So if you keep an eye on your mini-map viewers.
They've actually pinged it out.
They have indeed. There is a ward in there as well, but they don't see anything. So as far as we know, this is blind, but Yuhi and Proud take a safe route back, and there will be no level 1 shenanigans from the bad route back from Burning Core.
Yeah, and one thing which I find quite interesting is that it's not going to be the support item Talia, which we sometimes saw when we saw this lane in competitive. We saw that from, trying to think if it was one of the Korean teams, it would have probably been Griffin.
Griffin, it was indeed, yep. In the finals versus SKT, and got a little bit slapped.
A little bit, yep. We've seen it a couple of times here and there as well. It's actually a Dark Harvest on this list, not the Electrocute, so easier execute onto someone, but harder to set it up because you don't have the burst of the Electrocute, which is much more reliable in the early game.
Yeah, and actually at the minute it is 2 lanes shoving in for Burning Core, their mid and top side, whereas it is that Pantheon Talia with their level 2 and the kill combo ready and willing to go that is shoving in down here. And actually Yoshi is down here as well, looking for a Krug invade very early on.
There's no mark been put on there yet. Obviously, the first one is onto Scuttle Crabs, if you're a Kindred. So just looking to get to the camp, nothing about marks so far. That'll be another thing to track as well. How many marks can this Kindred get? It will be very useful because CGA have a relatively short range composition. Well, not even relatively, it just is. You have a melee mid laner with no ranged abilities besides the Steel Tempest when it's charged up to that full tornado. And then obviously Talia has a little bit of range to play with. But this Kindred, if she gets, 7 marks into the late game, will actually be able to outrange the likes of definitely the Set and the Lee Sin. That's a good trade from Aria,
and there's a very early roam up from the jungle and bot lane of CGA, but a good ward in the river did catch them out. Once is around, though, and they are going to be aware that the missing members of CGA have yet to turn up back on Vision, so it'll just be an early back from them instead.
Yeah, and once actually walks into the Krugs, finds they're gone. He's been stolen, burgled. Those Krugs have been.
Yep, and we've talked about the Krug trade before, and Once is going to be a little bit upset about the fact he's lost out there. But what it does mean is, actually, if we look towards the top side, that Ray Farkey has got a pretty significant advantage over the Aatrox. We have seen in a couple of other leagues, Aatrox kind of struggle into set, despite being picked into it a number of times.
I think particularly in this game, it's less about the matchup, more about the vertical jungling that's somewhat taking place. Yoshi heading back towards the top side now, but Nap allowed Ray Farkey to push in on the top side, not give that opening for Once to come in and gank that top lane too early into the game.
Yeah, but of course we're going to see relatively standard lanes. So despite the poke that Rocky was pushing out in that mid lane, it's going to be a bit of a CS lead there.
Aria has been
he is.
Once
He's gone wandering and he's found a very angry Yasuo who is flashing after him. The ignite is down and Once is about to die for first blood. Unfortunate invade there for the Lee Sin.
What a read by Aria there, as we do see a combo coming down a bot lane as well. The level 2s and 3s reach for these two duo lanes there. Fight in the top lane as well. Looks like everyone's just decided now is the time to brawl.
Yeah, now is the time for action and buttons being pressed. For now, though, it is Yoshi and... Oh, actually, sorry, no assist from Yoshi. It's just Aria with a solo kill onto the jungler of Burning Core.
Yeah, it is. But a first kill for the Yasuo is pretty good. We'll get him to that first Berserker's Greaves by on the next back pretty easily. Has a lot of CS as well, trading so very well onto this Victor right now.
Yeah, nice gravity field meant that Aria couldn't continue the trade because he just get frozen in place, and that would be sad time for the Yasuo.
Worth noting that it's the summon Aerie on Victor.
Oh, so it is, yeah.
So it's not the phase rush, which we sometimes see, and it does help into a lot of melee matchups as well. I guess this is just for the poke in lane, amongst other things. Sometimes you take Comet for that purpose. But against Yasuo, he uses his dash so often to get out of that. It does lose a little bit of value. Level 6 reached from Aria very early into this game.
Yeah, that's what you get for the additional experience in CS that he is running at the minute. More trading in this top side, but that's a little bit more even thanks to the Haymaker. But the pullback from the Infernal Chains means that Ray Farkey is going to have to back away from that wave. Feeling a little bit sheepish, and actually he's gone straight in his Nap. He's almost got it, but the range on those Qs does decrease, and of course he can't catch up with the number 2 and the number 3 ones of those Darking Blades. But while that's happening, Yoshi and Grendel start up the first Drake of the game.
Yes, they do, as the bot lane is under tower right now. No response available from Burning Core, and no Herald alive as well, not going to spawn for another 2 minutes. So this is a straight objective win for Crest, and Yoshi having a pretty good early game on this Kindred so far. Managed to survive the early game. Rocky putting out the Chaos Storm like you were saying, yeah.
She's going to keep going, but that's taking a lot of damage. He's going to see whether he can get a Tornado, but no. No flash available to jump for that one either. And of course there is still flash and heal available for the Victor, so probably a little bit trickier to pull off. But what that does mean is the bot side does get to push out from Burning Core. And for now, all that changes at the Drake is secured by CGA.
Yeah, and one thing I'm going to be looking for later into this game is how well does Talia Pantheon roam. So it was kind of said a couple of times, LS being a big proponent of this name, that they were the Avengers bot lane because they have this superhero entrance coming in across the map. I'd like to see that go towards the mid lane and put Rocky into the dumpster a little bit because the Victor does scale so well.
Indeed, and it would be quite exciting to see that come in. I'm looking forward to some walls and falls with the Talia and the Pantheon coming and dropping in at various points across the game. But actually really interesting as well. If you look at CGA, they're running 4 Conquerors, and then Talia's running the Dark Harvest as well, which is not what I would necessarily expect.
Yeah, I did mention that very briefly when we loaded into game. So
I kind of blanked on that because I was too busy trying to work out how on earth their composition actually functioned.
Well, maybe we should have... Okay, so hear me out here. You know
Right.
how roller coasters have those signs on the way?
Should I brace myself for this?
You should brace yourself
Okay.
and be prepared for sudden drops and
Oh,
stops.
very good. Yeah, that's
Sudden
good.
drops
I'll
and
take
stops.
that. Yeah.
And yeah, you know, you have to be a certain height to ride this ride. You have to be. I don't know what heights Gango and Grendel are, but I assume they are of quite some stature to pull out this kind of lane.
Indeed. Well, what we will say though is, of course, Talia is definitely a roller coaster enthusiast. She does enjoy to sort of surfboard along large
Absolutely.
walls, so that's kind of like roller coaster track like. I'll
Absolutely,
take that.
yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I would definitely take that as a skin. Can we have a roller coaster tycoon like Talia skin? I would be really down for that.
Happy with that. Okay, so just panic. We actually saw the observer hover over the Kindred there. I say this just because it's a bit expedient.
Another gank into the mid lane, and because Grendel has found his way onto an unusual side of the map, Flash is blown by the Victor.
I love being completely unaware of what's happening on the map. So
We're too busy talking about very important skin design ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Kindred's reached level 6, does have a mark as well. That was what I was going to mention because the observer actually panned over to Kindred, hovered over that champion, so now we can tell at least how many marks there are. Ooh.
Yeah,
ult committed from that.
Indeed, the World Ender was used to make sure he had the movement speed to get out of the way of that. But he flashes
flashing
forward
in.
onto once, but that's a decent kick out, and that means Flash blown for just the Dragon's Rage in response.
Yeah, good trade from Aria. From Rocky onto Aria here. As the flash comes back in for Pantheon,
But
though.
there's a heal there this time, so that's both summoners down for this mid lane, on the side of Rocky at least. So maybe in a bit of risk here, but of course actually is pretty low on the HP bar, but there's a tower shot. But while of course all this is happening, as I keep saying while, because so much stuff is happening all at once, because Ryoshi is taking the Rift Herald while trades are happening topside, trades are happening in the mid lane, and one day these teams will stop trying to find kills, but not today. Once is here, is he going to try and contest? Nope, the smite does come through, and the eye is hit, and that means it is an easy secure now for the side of CGA.
Yes, the eye sees all, and I have to say, CGA are one of my absolute favorite teams to watch in the LJL. They might not be the cleanest, they might fight for some very random reasons, but they do just have this absolute charisma about the way they play, bringing out all of these random picks, having these crazy carry performances. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this game falls either side of the coin.
I know, it could go so horribly wrong, and I'd be very excited to see that.
Yeah, as Gango actually just completely misses his combos.
I wasn't going to talk about that, but you're right to call that out. It was not fantastic. But we got a little bit of a spectator bug. We'll be right back with you. Yep, there we go. Straight back in. We saw someone rubbing his nose on the player's cam, so we knew that it was still working out. I won't call out which player it was, but for now, what it means is that Gango, low on mana though he may be, gets to shove out this wave.
Oh, he's got Trap to level up as well.
Indeed, so he should be okay. But that does mean that the shove continues in the bot side, and we're looking at a little bit of a CS lead for Ray Farkey up in the top lane from his earlier laning prowess. But everywhere else is within 5 or so CS. But it's about a 400 gold lead to CGA, so not a lot to write home about. And of course...
Well, that'll be the first blood.
Indeed it is.
That'll be the first blood.
But I kind of have to feel that this is a team that does want to snowball a bit early with these roams. And the closer this game stays, the more... The scaling, team fighting, wombo combo of Burning Core is going to be more and more content.
Absolutely, and if you don't shut down Rocky and Yuhi pretty early into these fights, they will have a lot of damage to put across this low-range composition. Which is, it does help when you have the Chaos Storm, and we might see a Last Breath committed not actually pulling the trigger there. There were 3 people in that mid lane choosing not to go for it.
I think maybe they were going to just drop the Rift Herald, shove the wave in, and they're going to go towards this Cloud Drake. But I kind of have to feel they maybe going in there might have been an easy call. But of course, Once and Proud were around the corner, and Lee Sin's ability to ward hop over walls is, of course, a pretty powerful ability. In fact, he's thinking about doing it right now. But Grendel takes a lot of damage. It's just gone straight down. That's a kill now for the Lee Sin. Doesn't get the Drake, but at least claims a life in response.
And did they just go for a trader before that? Because the Aegis wasn't used from Grendel there. Not using that to save his own hide there. Gets the kill onto... So Once gets the kill onto Grendel there, evening up the kill score, and the gold is now at parity. Although it wasn't much to write home about, like you were saying, at least CGA get themselves the dragon.
They do get themselves a dragon, and it's going to be an ocean rift. So if they can keep up this secure, the fact that they're kind of brawling, skirmishing, Team Con has that ability to keep their health bars topped up, especially as we're watching Aria's health bar kind of dwindle in this Yasuo matchup there, is a potentially useful thing, but they have got to be able to keep stacking those drakes, and if Once keeps finding those nice little pickoffs, it's going to mean a lot more. But that's World Ender burned on the side, and here comes a Pantheon. He's here as well, but no, Ray Farkey does get to back away, and that'll be the end of that.
It will be indeed. So, with that little thing said and done, do you want to check in across a couple of items across the
Yeah,
board?
that's probably worth checking. That's actually a good call out because, of course, Yasuo has picked himself up a Phantom Dancer, my friend. And that's a big one, but on the other side, it's still just a lost chapter for the Talia versus what appears to be a completed Essence Reaver for that misfortune.
It is. The Luden's going to come in for the Talia at some point. Not going towards the GLP. We sometimes see that from the Talia. But is going for the slightly more bursty option of the Ludens. I guess that's more important when you have the setup already available to you in the likes of the Pantheon. But Grendel not finding too many openings in this game so far.
Nope, and that was the first grand Starfall. Didn't really come to a lot. On Vision are once and proud, so Yoshi and Arya avoiding that, but they're also on Vision because that appears to be a pink ward. But no, just going to be the end of that. But Nap's going to take a little bit of a trade up here from the Haymaker.
Oh, at least
Good
it's
face breaker, and that is 3v1, and he's been suplexed back into the team. Nap is in so much trouble. He's got nothing to do, and it's a second kill for the side of this Lee Sin. Arya, Yoshi, and Grendel are here, but it's just to mourn the passing of their top laner.
And in the last set of games that we did, it was Olaf that had a big cat following him around. This time it's the Lee Sin. Does have the 2 kills on that jungle now. Will fall off pretty hard at some point because Lee Sin does find it quite hard to do these later game team fights. You kind of don't have the same, you don't really have the same frontline potential of the Olaf. Actually, we see a mark going the way of Yoshi now as well. So this is 3 marks now in the Kindred, just keeping those stacks available.
Yeah, that's not bad at 14 minutes.
Yeah, just keeping track of those stacks. So when this early into the game, that's pretty good because once you reach that 4 stack mark, you do get extra attack speed from your Q and also extra range on your abilities.
That is the first of your range ups, and of course I was going to talk a little bit more about this Kindred, but we are seeing a little bit of a top sort of bot lane pressure move here from CGA, so maybe we'll save that for a moment or two. First tower is still on the board. It's about a 2,000 now gold lead out of nowhere for Burning Core out of that second kill, and they're going to try it and trade for first tower are the CGA bot lane, and they do claim it before Burning Core can even consider trading up in that top side.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think where all that gold came from because 1 kill doesn't tend to lead to all that, but they did get some plates, I think, and they might have got a plate on the top lane. But either way, they are going to be quite happy with the extra gold in their pockets as they look to trade into the top tower themselves.
Yeah, look at that. We can see where it is. It's on that Lee Sin, and it is on that mid lane a little bit as well. That's doing fairly well, but is on that Lee Sin that's doing very well. And of course, now with that tower traded, that 1.5. Probably is about 1.5 K gold lead.
Oh no, the top jungle is the entire gold lead.
It is indeed.
It is entire gold
that
lead.
is a couple of assists and Nap being put in the ground a little bit.
Yeah, everyone's even or behind besides that top jungle duo, Once and Rayfarki. They've been so good and actually pretty consistent by this point as well for the side of Burning Core. Rayfarki being one of our consistent considerations in the top lane player of the week. And Once has had a couple of good games to his name as well.
Indeed, he has. But of course, what Once managed to do while Yoshi's been focusing hard on those Heralds and Drakes is lose out a little bit on CS because Lee Sin has been able to find a number of camps in response. So he's gone. But of course, that means that the objective lead, at least neutral-wise, is over at CGA. And as we speak of that, the second Rift Herald is started up by this team.
Yeah, so CGA, if they play around the ocean...
Well, actually, Gwango's been flashed on there, well, has to flash away, rather, as Once found a fairly good route in. But that means now that there is going to be a fight and a teleport in. Rayfarki is here. Yoshi's managed to pick up the Eye of the Herald, but Grendel gets kicked into everybody. That's a misfortune bullet time and a massive suplex. The Lamb's spike goes down. It's going to keep people safe for now, but that true damage from the Haymaker is huge! So well timed, and CGA are being routed here. So many deaths, and it's Grendel running away, but the heal is there and he just goes down as well. That is a 4 for none for the side of Burning Core. Disaster for CGA.
Horrible fight for the red team there. Lose 4 people. Don't even pick up a kill to their name. At least they pick up the Herald, but that's really pennies compared to the pounds and dollars which Burning Core picked up off of that fight there. Ryuhi managing to run forward on the Misfortune with the strut, with the zoomies. Talked about that a little bit earlier into the game. Just allows you to chase down these compositions so well when you're on the front foot.
Oh, yeah, and that means Tower in the mid lane. It means Drake for the side of Burning Core, and CGA are going to be feeling Well, you're gonna be reeling from that. Let's look at this replay. So how on earth did Once and Proud get in here? That's a fantastic flash in from the Lee Sin.
So that's actually pretty blind there. They might have had a little, might have seen Gango walking into there from the mid lane vision there. But what I'm really asking now is, so the Aegis goes the wrong way from Grundle. He takes a lot of damage, then the suplex comes in as well, has to flash out. They don't get to start the fight on their terms. Nap comes in, tries to disrupt, but the rest of his team's already running away at that point. And for me, one thing which is really big is we didn't see the Weaver's Wall used here.
No, we didn't.
When you're positioning around those kind of fights, you can definitely reposition and start cutting off a lot of team members with that wall. And where was it?
Indeed.
Where was the wall?
But what it means is there's a 3.5k gold lead for Burning Core and suddenly a massive map advantage in this early game, or at least sort of early skirmishing comp from the side of CGA. Hasn't snowballed, is now behind, and I think anytime they go in, they're going to get detonated by the likes of a Misfortune, who's 1-0-3, a Lee Sin, who's 4-1-2, and this Victor, who has happily made his way up to, I think, is that a perfect hex core at this point?
It is the perfect hex core.
So he's doing pretty well for himself, and Trinity Force is very, very nearly online for Ray Farkey as well. He's just got to get a completion by.
It's color-coded for your convenience, the hex core. You know, you have the purple, and then you've got the yellow, and then you got blue, then you got red, which is not in any order.
Indeed, that's. Do you remember what the? I mean, it's rainbow, I suppose, going from sort of high frequency to low frequency.
But then you have purple at the start.
Is purple not like so?
That's
It's like
high
frequency to low frequency.
Oh, okay, maybe it is. Actually.
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta hope. Anyway, enough of random conversations about frequency as Rocky throws a questing laser into the bush and finds 2 members. Could feel pretty happy about that. But unfortunately, that is a dive combo coming in for the side of Burning Core. Goodbye, Nap. Incoming Cat. Incoming Lee Sin. That's a lot of damage. It's a decent face break.
Well,
he's doing all right. That's well under Burning, but I don't think he has enough. Suplex is there for the execute. Tower down as well. 3 towers to none. 7 kills to 1. Burning Core are looking very good now as we crest into the mid game proper.
And the sad thing there is that they still had the Dragon's Rage kick as well. That wasn't a particularly close dive for Nap. Just didn't have the information available, or didn't act upon the information that they did have to avoid that dive, and that's going to be a tower and another chunk onto the bottom side. But the Herald's been summoned on the side of Crest. They might be able to trade up in this trade, actually. It will be 2 for 2, actually, at the end of it.
They do manage to shove faster. Of course, this Lee Sin with completed Black Cleaver does a lot of damage at this point. And they're at least going to get a last charge onto this inhibitor turret.
A last hurrah?
I'm not sure they're ever going to be able to return, or at least not within any sort of
reasonable
decent
time span.
The time frame is going to be a bit extended to consider coming back there. And I believe those tier 3 turrets do regenerate slowly over time.
They do, but that is a big chunk in itself, so it will be pretty considerable. And one of the other things that we should note is that Burning Core took themselves the Ocean Drake in the last chaos of the last few minutes, which means that CGA don't have 3 dragons. If they pick that one up, as Grundle's found by
again.
Once.
Oh, and that's so much damage, and that's a 3-level lead. Once is so strong right now. In fact, is he going to no?
Kicks him in the face.
Thought you might give that kill over to Yuhi, but why would he bother doing that? This Lee Sin is unbelievably strong.
Yeah.
Oh my days.
Yeah, kicks Grundle's teeth in right there. 0-3 on this Pantheon, building towards what looks to be either a Duskblade or the Umbral Glaive on the Pantheon. This Pantheon pick really hasn't worked out so far.
No, and actually this Kindred is down 2 levels as well, and down a lot of CS. This Lee Sin is running over things right now.
Yeah, and we have set up a little bit of a narrative that Yoshi has been struggling as a jungler. And I think this game, it wouldn't be fair to say that that is on him. I think that top lane was put in the dumpster by Once and Rayfaki. I think that Naps had a difficult game. I think that Adia, as much as he got the good first blood, has not managed to find any pressure onto Rocky as well, who's farmed up very admirably on the Victor, never really been in too much pressure in lane, had to blow the summoners those 1 or 2 times, but it never really led to anything. And then the bot lane never found any kills in that lane, even though it's meant to be a kill combo as well. And when you have the Dark Harvest on Talia, you do want to be trying to proc that as often as you can, get that stacking up to get that permanent damage increase. So Yoshi this time, as much as we were leading into game, saying, oh, CGA tend to just win their lanes. Not this game, it seems.
No, and actually I want to give a lot of praise to Once for picking up that Lee Sin, roaming with Proud, and getting a lot done. You know, of course, we did talk about how this Kindred was going to be kind of AFK for a little bit, trying to pick up some of those stacks, pick up some items, and Once has basically managed to take this game onto his back and run away with it a little bit.
Absolutely. So at least we see the 2 items completed for Arya, the Infinity Edge and the Phantom Dancer. 100%
Very
crit,
strong.
a lot of AD there as well. So Yasuo is now at a strong point in the game. We'll see if that's important coming into this Fourth Dragon of the game, the second Ocean, will be the third for CGA if they pick it up, second for Burning Core if they do instead. So we're looking for a lot of different things in these team fights, but with a 5k advantage, Burning Core have definitely got to be looking to win this pretty handily.
Yeah, of course. Ults, flashes, summoners available for absolutely everybody. And CGA completely on vision and once it's over behind. And he's got a kick and a fantastic final chapter there. Doing a lot of work. Look at the route from across the wall. But Ray Fargy's finding and that's an amazing bullet time. And Gango is being slaughtered in the backline by this hugely strong Lee Sin. Goodbye. And that is a 3 for none as Yoshi is being chased down, run down, and executed by Rocky on the victor.
It's 12-1, only Grendel escaping thanks to his ultimate himself. There's a lot of zeros in the kill and assist columns for CGA, and that's because the only kill was that first blood roam from Arya. They've been shut out of this game ever since that point. Burning Core take the fight, take the dragon. They might even take the Baron as well.
Yeah, that's a filthy strong Lee Sin with a lot of healing, and there's enough items on the rest of the squad to be able to take this. It may only be 23 minutes, but they really don't care at this point. Ray Farky's going to hang behind the pit and take the blast plant to ensure no shenanigans from the likes of Yoshi, who is not even anywhere close. And that means Baron secured, as well as another teamfight victory for Burning Core.
And at this point, when you have, it's a 2-0 and 200 CS Victor, a 2-0 and 5, I think it was Misfortune as well. And then the Lee Sin sitting on, 6 kills?
Flank.
This flank is just so huge. So we see that the wind wall does come up to stop a lot of the different routes coming through. But then this massive combo comes in from the side of Burning Core. Yoshi doesn't get into position quick enough to use the Lamb's Respite to save his teammates, and even if he did, I don't think it would have changed much there. The damage had already been done.
Yep, and Yoshi running away and takes a laser to the face. Turns out that even death can't outrun lasers.
Maybe
not faster than light.
Maybe
is Kindred.
Hear me out once again. Maybe Rocky is just a wandering optician.
Wandering optician.
Yeah,
2020 laser correction. Is this?
Yeah. Well, I maybe Yoshi can't see the state of the game, so Rocky's trying to help him with that. Trying to come in with the laser eye surgery.
Is this one that's come straight out of the solo queue? Is that what you type in chat to your opposing mid lane? Is like.
I will do from now on.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll take that one.
So laser eye surgeon. Rocky doing a good job this game on the Victor, making sure the blue buff can see as well.
Yeah, indeed. Just making sure they understand and can see what's going on in this game. And what's going on is that Burning Core are absolutely running this over. They're about 8,000 gold in the lead. And they have a Baron, and they are more than ready to shove. And I'm not sure there's much wave clear on the side of CJ that can deal with this Baron. Grendel's going to try and find a flank. Yuhi flashes, but has got the cleanse, so gets away from the stun. CJ desperately trying to find an engagement. That's an okay bullet time for disengage, but naps in the backline. You're right, Rocky is there as well. They're having to flash out of the Lamb's Respite, and the final chapter is here. I think this fight's actually gone a little bit awry for Burning Core. Arya fighting in the backline and has got a stopwatch out of this set, but CGA finally being run down. They are now. That's a decent wind wall. The flash nearly saves him, but I don't think it'll be enough. Ace for the Misfortune, and it's actually a 5 for 1. It kind of looked okay for Burning Core, or rather for CGA, at least at first. They found an okay flank. The bullet time wasn't hitting anybody, but that's a lot of money in the wallet there. That means desperately trying to find the... wasn't enough in the end.
It's a nice last hurrah from CGA, who did try and come around and did pick themselves up a kill onto Rocky. They say, I can see just fine. Out of here with your laser eye surgery. Does get the first kill onto Rocky of this game. 25 minutes in. This is going to be a quick game if this continues in this fashion. They're already so far ahead. This is 11k gold lead for the side of Burning Core.
I think when Lee Sin backs, he's going to pick up a full items 8, 1, and 6 at this point. Yeah, so let's have a look at the flank here.
Okay, so it's actually the first good Weaver's Wall that we've seen in this game. Grendel manages to get on top of Yuhi, does cleanse and flash away though, but Rocky is caught by the Infernal Chains of Aatrox. Yoshi forced to use his Lamb's Respite pretty early, but at this point, I mean, pretty much the damage has already been done once again. There are some good mechanical plays being made by the side of CJ, but with the gold lead on the side of Burning Core, it means that Once can just kind of keep rolling forward, keep going for all these different... Arya with the fancy feat, but can't outrun the point and click of Misfortune's auto attacks.
Yeah, what seemed to be point and click was all of those sonic waves. Once just finding his way onto pretty much everyone. I think he was at least, I think he got 3 of those kills in that fight. Did so much work.
I think he came into that with 2 kills, and then he with 6 kills, then picked up 2 in that fight. Yeah. and then picked up a couple of assists as well. Pretty ever present there, and actually being a very good carrier for the Yuumi. I didn't expect that. Normally, I don't see it. I see it in this composition because CGA are solo range. You can get right on top of the Yasuo, right on top of the Taliyah and the Pantheon. And yeah, the CGA have struggled to pull off their combos, struggled to find any kind of opening into this game. Burning Core not giving too many looks into this game. They're going to try and fight around an Ocean Drake, but when you're this far behind, you're going to look for a pick maybe, and even then, you probably lose a 4v5. You probably even lose a 3v5.
Well, as long as that Yuumi is alive to keep someone like the Lee Sin alive, things could go exceptionally wrong no matter the numbers of disadvantage at this point, you feel. And actually, I'm not even sure Burning Core care that much about the Ocean Drake. They're just going to keep shoving in. And actually, there's another fantastic flank from Wazz. It's in behind everybody. Aria's in trouble on the kick straight forward into the waiting arms of Misfortune. There's a wind wall, but it's only faces one direction. There's a stopwatch, but he's going to get annihilated anyway. That's a decent... Actually, he managed to get a last breath. That's quality work to get himself alive. And Ray Farky now in the backline. And Burning Core feeling a little bit out of sorts there with a fantastic escape from Aria, who's managed to get away. Once now dashing forwards, but they managed to get a return kill. And CJ now running away. Lamb's respite. Oh, the showstopper! The showstopper out of the Lamb's respite, and it wasn't a respite for long, and Gango gets silenced by the set at the end there as well.
I guess we understand why we don't see...
Hi, Aria.
Okay. I was going to say something important about, Kindred versus Set, being able to bring him out of the Lamb's respite, but it doesn't even particularly matter, as we see once ending this game at 9-1 and 10 on the Lee Sin. 20 kill participation for the Yuumi as well. That cat got a lot of notes a lot of pages in the death note.
I hadn't realized that.
As Burning Core take the first game of our little stint here in the LJL against CGA. Mass1, what are your thoughts on that game?
Well, that was unexpected, and I wasn't expecting it to be that quickly, frankly. That was aggressive from Burning Core, repeating exactly the sort of game style and game sense that they had from last week. They brought it over and played it against one of the best teams currently in LJL, and kind of made that team not look what they had been showing. But I think part of that problem was Gango wasn't on a traditional carry. That bot lane of the Taliyah Pantheon, when I saw it locked in, I was question mark pinging the whole time, and then it just never did exactly what it was meant to do, and frankly, I think that was a huge downplay. I also think Aria not being on an assassin like normal, obviously was not able to play the LeBlanc, so that was a bit of a takeaway. But we've seen Aria's...
was banned as well.
Yes.
There was a lot of picks banned away from Aria.
But the thing is, we know Aria, we were counting after the first 2 weeks. We were like, well, he's just going off a checklist at the moment. He's going to play every mid laner and then potentially bring in other picks, and that didn't happen. Nap had arguably his first bad game as well, which
it kind of sucks.
Doesn't help to everything else. Sometimes I obviously use Nap to kind of carry across, but damn, Burning Core with a statement to the league.
Yeah. And like once as well, like Yoshi didn't have a bad game, but once had a great game, and that was a massive difference as well. Like 9-1 and 10, I think that Lee Sin ended. Yeah, he had a Yuumi on him, but the fact he managed to find so many flanks, so many great angles for that final chapter meant that CGA just got absolutely annihilated any grouped up fight.
Absolutely. In defense of Crest kind of going into that game, I think Aria showed us again how mechanically good he is, even in the losing fights. In that last fight in the mid lane, managing to make it out with a stopwatch into keying into the last breath to get back his passive shield, survive, get the kill in that fight, even when they're down 11,000 or whatever. This guy is still showing us that he has this ridiculous potential to pop off in fights, but it doesn't matter when Gango and Grendel are not affecting the game. No. Grendel had a very poor game on this Pantheon. If anything, he never really managed to have a good Grand Star.
3k damage, it's saying here, and Yuumi did 5.5k damage.
From a lethality building support that's there for a kill combo, it's not enough.
If you're gonna play it with lethality, you got to go for kills. Be a bit more lethal minded. But whether that's the mindset or not setting up well for it, the picks didn't work out.
No.
Enough about CGA, because the real people we should be talking about is Burning Core, right? They're now on a 3-0
win streak.
3-0 win streak. I can't remember if they ended on a win the week before that, though. That's the thing. But they came in with the 2-0 last week, and they picked up their first win of the day today. In stunning fashion, every member outperformed
really
their
good, yeah.
opposite number. I think maybe you could say, oh well, Aria had a good game on the
But
Astra
that
or
was
whatever. But
even.
then, it was even, yeah, because Rocky actually had a really good game on the Victor too. He played very well defensively, which is probably the core tenet of Tenet. Oh, cool. I was like, whatever words.
Oh, tenant. Yeah, it will be. Tenant is the person who lives in your flat.
Core tenet. The core tenet of Victor's play. You got to play defensively up until you do get these kind of the perfect hex call plus another item, then you start taking over the game. And yeah, we saw him play very well around that mid lane. But on the top side of the map, we saw that there was a point where there was a 2k gold lead, all from Wraith Archean once.
Yep.
I was
And you're like, how does it? You're like, it doesn't come from the kills. It doesn't
Where's
come
that
from
coming
the kills.
from?
And you're like, where is it coming from? It's like, well, it's the
coming
kills,
from the top side.
It's
the
Wraith
tower,
Archean,
yeah, everything, the
Yeah,
plating.
Yeah, and Wraith Archean, like, I kind of called it out a little bit earlier. Like, I'm not a huge fan of picking Aatrox into Set. I think Set tends to quite enjoy that matchup, and it kind of showed out a little bit earlier on in that lane with a fairly decent CS lead. And that kind of just stuck. Yeah, it kind of came back a little bit, but towards the later stage of that game, suplexing people out of Lamb's Respite as well. Like, there is no
Never thought about that interaction
unstoppable.
before.
Nah, exactly. But it's a great counter in some ways. And it just meant that whoever was lowest in that Lamb's Respite was
getting dunked.
getting RKO'd out of the ring. You aren't safe outside of the wrestling ring. There is definitely death threats available when Set can take you out onto the streets and beat you down. So that was kind of what happened.
Lovely.
But with that all in mind, CGA are going to have to lick their wounds and recover because they've got arguably the biggest game waiting for them with Detonation Focus Me right after that. Not the ideal way that you want to go for it, but I mean, if you've got to go, you got to go regardless. So hopefully Crest Gaming will be able to figure out something in between this very short break we're going to go on very quickly. See you after it.